This microbe survives nuclear radiation 1,000x stronger than what kills you. A single droplet of rain settles on a patch of moss clinging to an old stone. Hidden inside that droplet, almost invisible even under a microscope, a tiny spherical cell drifts through a world of water and minerals. It has no eyes to see the sunlight above it, no brain to understand danger, no awareness that the universe is constantly trying to erase it. And yet, if a burst of radiation powerful enough to kill a human in days were to sweep across this landscape, the forests would suffer. Animals would disappear. Cells would unravel. This microscopic organism would simply begin repairing itself. Most people imagine radiation as the ultimate destroyer, an invisible force that leaves nothing untouched. We associate it with nuclear disasters, cancer treatments, atomic bombs, and abandoned cities where silence has replaced civilization. That picture is not wrong. It is simply incomplete, because somewhere between the limits of physics and the persistence of life exists an organism that forces scientists to ask an uncomfortable question. What does it actually mean to be impossible to kill? Radiation does not kill because it burns. It kills because it destroys information. Every living thing depends on DNA, a molecular archive containing billions of instructions. Every heartbeat, every memory, every leaf growing toward the sun begins as information encoded within fragile strands only a few nanometers wide. Radiation tears through those strands with astonishing violence. Imagine taking every page of an encyclopedia, shredding each one into thousands of pieces, then throwing the fragments into a hurricane. That is what intense radiation does inside a cell. For humans, enough damage overwhelms every repair system evolution has built. The body slowly loses the ability to replace itself. Life does not end immediately. It simply stops rebuilding. But somewhere on Earth, one bacterium treats this catastrophe as little more than an inconvenience. Its name is Deinococcus radiodurans. The name sounds almost mechanical, as though it belongs to a machine rather than a living organism. In many ways, it does. Discovered in the 1950s, researchers were attempting something remarkably ordinary, preserving canned food with radiation. The assumption seemed reasonable. Enough radiation should sterilize everything. Instead, something survived. Not barely, comfortably. It was an unexpected reminder that nature often refuses to respect human expectations. Scientists had not discovered a monster. They had discovered humility. Most organisms spend millions of years evolving ways to avoid danger. Predators develop speed. Plants develop toxins. Animals develop camouflage. Deinococcus radiodurans chose a different strategy altogether. Instead of avoiding destruction, it became extraordinarily good at recovering from it. This is a subtle distinction, and perhaps one of evolution's most profound lessons. Nature does not always reward strength. Sometimes it rewards repair. When researchers exposed the bacterium to radiation levels nearly 1,000 times greater than what would almost certainly kill a person, they expected complete genetic collapse. Instead, they watched something astonishing unfold. Its DNA shattered into hundreds of fragments. Not damaged, shattered. Imagine every chapter of a book being cut into thousands of tiny sentences scattered across a room. Most organisms would lose the story forever. But this bacterium somehow gathers the fragments back together with extraordinary precision. Piece after piece, letter after letter, until the original genome is restored. The research suggests that its molecular repair systems operate with an efficiency unlike almost anything else known in biology. The catastrophe becomes reconstruction. Order emerges from chaos. Scientists still debate exactly how it accomplishes this. Several mechanisms appear to work together. Its chromosomes exist in multiple copies, creating backups of critical information. Specialized proteins protect damaged DNA before repair begins. Powerful antioxidant compounds prevent radiation from destroying the cellular machinery responsible for rebuilding the genome. It is not one miraculous trick. is an entire philosophy encoded into biology. Never depend on perfection. Always prepare for recovery. This realization changes the story. Radiation may not be the true enemy. Entropy is. Every second, every living cell experiences countless forms of damage. Heat, chemicals, cosmic rays arriving from distant stars. Simple mistakes made during DNA replication. Life has never existed in a perfectly safe environment. It survives because repair constantly outruns destruction. The bacterium simply performs this universal process at an almost unimaginable scale. It reminds us that survival is not the absence of damage. It is the persistence of restoration. Most people imagine evolution as a ladder climbing steadily toward complexity. Bigger brains, larger bodies, greater intelligence. But evolution has no destination. It does not care whether an organism writes poetry or splits into two identical cells. It measures only one outcome. Did the lineage continue? From that perspective, Deinococcus radiodurans may be solving a problem far older than humanity itself. Not how to become extraordinary, but how to remain. The implications stretch far beyond a single bacterium. Researchers studying long-duration space travel have become fascinated by organisms like this. Outside Earth's magnetic field, astronauts encounter significantly higher levels of cosmic radiation. Every journey toward Mars becomes not only a question of engineering, but of biology. Could understanding this tiny microbe help protect human cells during voyages lasting years? Could its molecular strategies inspire entirely new medicines? Scientists are cautious. Nature rarely allows simple solutions, but the possibility itself reshapes the conversation. Sometimes the future begins with something almost too small to notice. Its resilience has also transformed our understanding of extreme environments. For decades, scientists assumed that life required conditions remarkably similar to those humans enjoy. Moderate temperatures, liquid water, protection from lethal radiation. The universe appeared hostile. Earth appeared unusually generous. But each discovery of an extremophile, organisms thriving in boiling vents, acidic lakes, frozen deserts, or radioactive environments, has slowly dismantled that assumption. Life keeps expanding the boundaries of the possible, not by changing physics, but by revealing how incomplete our imagination has been. This raises an unsettling possibility. If life can tolerate conditions once considered impossible, what else might be alive beyond Earth? Mars preserves evidence of ancient water. Europa hides a vast ocean beneath kilometers of ice. Enceladus sprays water vapor into space through enormous fractures in its frozen crust. The search for extraterrestrial life has gradually shifted. Scientists are no longer asking whether alien worlds resemble Earth. They are asking whether life resembles life. That distinction changes everything. There's another reason this bacterium captures the imagination. It exposes a deeply human misconception. We often equate fragility with failure. When something breaks, we assume it has reached its end. But throughout nature, breaking is often part of the process. Forests regenerate after fire. Bones become stronger after healing. Immune systems improve after surviving infection. Even stars scatter the heavy elements that eventually become planets, oceans, and living cells only after violent collapse. Destruction is rarely the opposite of creation. Sometimes it is the beginning of it. Yet there remains something quietly unsettling about Deinococcus radiodurans. It survives conditions we instinctively associate with apocalypse, not because it is invincible, but because its entire existence assumes that disaster is normal. That perspective feels strangely familiar. Human civilization has spent centuries trying to eliminate uncertainty. We build stronger cities, develop better medicine, predict storms, monitor asteroids, construct systems designed to prevent catastrophe before it arrives. Nature often chooses another path. Prepare for the inevitable. Learn to rebuild. Perhaps that is why this tiny organism feels so much larger than itself. It reminds us that survival has never belonged exclusively to the strongest, the smartest, or the largest. It has often belonged to those capable of recovering after the world has fallen apart. In a universe where stars explode, continents drift, climates shift, and species vanish, permanence has always been an illusion. Repair is not a backup plan. It is the quiet engine beneath every living thing. Somewhere inside a drop of water, a microscopic cell continues assembling itself after a level of destruction that would erase almost everything we know. It does not celebrate its resilience. It does not fear the next catastrophe. It simply begins again. And perhaps the most unsettling realization is not that such a creature exists. It is that life itself may have always been less about avoiding the end and more about learning how to start over.